What's the worst scandal to happen at your school? My high school guidance counselor ducked a science teacher's wife and everyone knew about it. They got a divorce. Both teachers still work at the same school to this day, and students will never ever let it go. The story has been handed down from year to year. Kids are brutal. We must never let our history die, must we? Kid in my class sent an email to the White House, threatening to kill Socks, the Clintons' cat. Secret Service showed up a few days later after they tracked down the computer. A kid in my senior year short story class, who sat directly behind me, was charged with the stabbing, beheading and burning of one of his friends/drug dealer. I remember the day like it was yesterday, sitting in my short story class when my teacher came in tears because she just heard the news. Students didn't find out about it until later. I actually have a friend who testified in his trial because he purchased the murdering materials at the hardware store she worked at. Crazy, man. 2 things, both in middle school. 1. Was at home on a Sunday watching the news with my mom when all of a sudden my 6th grade teacher's mugshot showed up, and it said that she and her husband were pulled over and they found like 6 pounds of high grade weed, lead to a search warrant for their home, and they literally slept in inflatable mattresses. The whole house was a grow opus. She did look like a hippie, but I don't understand, she was not mellow at all. She was a bitch. 2. In 8th grade, one of my friend's parents had cancer. He thought it was a good idea to bring some of their meds to school and hand them out like candy. These were strong meds, and not all of them were pain pills. At least 5 kids overdosed, 2 of them had seizures. No one died, thankfully. First week of high school. Pet class. The first section was swim. Wasn't my class, but the class after. This kid was playing a game with his friends in the water. Who could hold their breath the longest? He was going up for air and hit head on the pointy part of the gutter, and never made it to the surface. Friends didn't notice. Teacher didn't notice. Eventually football players coming back to the locker rooms noticed. He ended up dying. Teacher was fired, although I wouldn't fully blame him as he was attending and teaching kids who didn't know how to swim or weren't strong swimmers. 1 adult for over 60 kids? ? That's the school's fault. I understand the teacher not noticing, but the friends who were directly competing with the kid didn't notice? ? Must have thought he was pretty darn good at breath holding. Long story short, the principal got arrested for hiding cameras in the bathroom. This was back in elementary. He was a total ducking creep. What the duck, shocked at how many pedo stories there are. The caretaker killed 2 local girls and hid them in the school. He tried using the clay kiln to burn them. He later dumped them a few miles away. This kid was taking his GCSEs, important exams in England, until you get older and realize they mean duck all. Whilst at an exam, some kids got onto his phone, went onto his notes, and found a 4,000 word document consisting of his sexual fantasies with other girls in his year. Clearly paid attention in English as there was some clever wordplay comparing his cock to some world famous landmarks. The screenshots found their way into a lot of group chats. There were about 20 odd screenshots. To put into context how long it was, and it basically acted as a vag repellent for the rest of his time at the school. During middle school, a few kids sold weed and someone that bought some smoked it in the building, which was just stupid. The kid that sold it to him didn't want to get in trouble, so he pulled the fire alarm so people wouldn't find the kid. We all got to go home afterwards. A girl in my middle school was telling people she had a hit list of people she was going to kill. Got caught with the list and was sent to a hospital for a while. She came back a few years later in high school. A girl died in the pool during an event at the school. The swim teacher was blamed and was prosecuted. The girl who died was at my sister's class. Both were 7 at the time. That happened over 10 years ago, but the parents haven't had another child since. She was their only kid. That's horrible. Poor people. Probably the time a girl gave a guy a BJ in the bathroom. The guy filmed it and sent it to his friend. His friend sent all around the school. Eventually the police had to get involved because the one guy was guilty of distribution of child pornography. I was in 4th or 5th grade and someone sketched in the middle school bathroom not to go on school Friday or I will bang bang. This was then brought to the attention of the county and state police and we didn't have school that day and the police searched everyone's lockers for a firearm. In middle school, 8th grade / early 2000s, one of the hot girls sent her a couple nude pictures to her BF, and it wasn't long until half the school had them. Police ended up becoming involved to make sure any old copies were destroyed. In high school there was a little scandal involving the teachers and a teachers club called the Hot Tub Club. Faculty members that had hot tubs would host a weekly hot tub party with other hot tub owners. Turns out they were all getting wasted and having a swinging party every Wednesday. Some Bardis house found out about it and there was a huge exodus of hot tub teachers my senior year. History teacher disappeared in the night with the French teacher's wife and the other French teacher made national news for sexually abusing boys. Well, French is the language of love. We had a few. Some standouts. Student hid a pregnancy from her parents. She ended up giving birth at home and killed the baby. Teacher sexually harassed students. Students engaged in sexual acts at the nearby church where all our masses occurred, and we, the student body, were then banned for having our masses at the church. Edit. A few people are mentioning some cheerleader who had been on the news. This was the early 2000s. It did not have news coverage, didn't even go beyond our school, and our school did not have cheerleaders. Edit 2. This was in Canada. My school district gave all high school students laptops that they could bring home with them to use for schoolwork. They could also remotely activate the webcams and spy on students, although of course they didn't tell us this. One kid got caught smoking weed this way while he was in his room at home, and I think was going to get suspended. He sued the district in response for invasion of privacy and won the case. It got national media attention for a little while. I remember when this hit the news. It always amazed me that at multiple points in the decision-making process people thought yes, this is okay. It's totally acceptable to spy on children, or anyone really, in their bedrooms. Multiple adults had to know about this and at least tacitly agree that this was okay. Some owned job duties that they accepted was to spy on children, to catch them in compromising situations in the privacy of their home. Just amazing. One of the female gym teachers at my HS got arrested for doing drugs on campus. Well, what kind of drugs? Illegal ones. A girl gave a guy a BJ behind a building. Her braces got stuck on his dick. He pulls back, dick bleeding, punches her in the mouth. She goes and tells the principal. Parents get called in. He yells she cut my dick while the door was open. Everyone knew then. The lunch lady was having sex with students and buying them alcohol. Some dude with a tiny little pecker sent a picture of it, unsolicited, to a girl, and she sent it to all his friends. Wasn't long before like half the school had seen it. When the religion teacher cheated on her husband with the math teacher. Ironic. My former high school got on the news for having a history teacher lie for 4 years about being a decorated war hero. Guy claimed to have not 1, but 2 Purple Hearts, among other things, and never even served a day in the military. Edit. I can't directly link to articles because of doxing, but I'm sure you can find it on Google. Close bracket. The truth came out when his ex-wife exposed him, sending evidence he was making it all up to local news stations and the school. E.g. receipts from military stores for actual Purple Hearts. Why'd she do it? The history teacher was having an affair with another teacher in my school. We had a lot of weird teachers at my school, but I think this story shows just how much the administration hardly vetted teachers. Like holy shit. We also had a guidance counselor get the boot for being a racist, but that's another story that didn't get as much publicity. The Harlem Shake was a craze. We had an RE teacher who desperately enjoyed being the popular teacher, so he got in on the craze, invited 40 pupils from my year to his classroom at lunch, and filmed his own Harlem Shake video, which in itself would have been against safeguarding rules. Thing is, he also taught sex ed, so everyone got into his cupboard before the start of the video for props. The video was essentially a group of 14-year-olds throwing dildos and condoms around the room while he, of his own accord, grinded on life-size cute out of the Pope. He was suspended under investigation for half a year, but surprisingly kept his job. He was a lot more professional when he returned. The entire 11th grade of my school visits a concentration camp each year, and 2 years ago someone brought weed. So 20 students were expelled and 15 suspended. Even the police got involved. Weed isn't legal yet here. Sophomore year, a girl in my grade passed on a solid yellow up a hill, hit a family in a car, and killed both parents and one of the kids. A week later she's back at school in a brand new pickup truck and never faced any sort of trial or anything. Her parents were extremely large farmers in the small rural town and had influence in the local court systems, I'm sure. Oh, did I mention she excitedly showed off her new truck when she came back? Fuck you, Taylor. Fuck Taylor. Our football defense coordinator molested/raped a large number of young boys over a long period of time and no one did a thing about it. Kid made a chlorine bomb and threw it in the trash can at lunch. Lockdown. Bomb squad. Every single kid and faculty member out on the field in 95 weather for 2+ hours until parents could show up to pick up their kids. What the duck is wrong with people? This was middle school, so he got expelled and arrested after. 2 years later in high school has back to school, built like a ducking MMA fighter. Full beard and shaved head at 16. Nobody ever said shit to him or ducked with him in any way. A video leaked of a girl ducking herself with a spatula. We called her Spatula Girl. Funny at the time. Makes me bad now. Edit. A word. Which end? She was using the handle side. Lol. That was my first reaction. To. Back in high school, the entire football team was almost expelled because one girl had blowjobs to every single one of the players in the locker rooms. Supposedly they were all in a circle and the girl was just going around each person. The kicker? The girl's brother was on the team. And he let it happen. My religion teacher was relocated after rumors spread that he sexually harassed a female student and hit a male student. I never found out if those rumors were true, but I mean there had to be something, because teachers don't just get relocated in the middle of a school year. He was an ass. I wouldn't put it past him. In Germany it's super hard to get fired as a teacher. I think you'd need a prison sentence to actually get fired. That's why he was only relocated. Not that scandalous. A friend's stuff kept going missing. Like books and pens. It didn't stop even after multiple complaints from him, and the teachers didn't really care. His mom screamed at the teachers and the principal did her own investigation and concluded that it was a boy who stole from that guy. The principal decided to call the male student's parents to talk to them. After a year, it turns out that the thief was a girl and she yeeted the guy's stuff out the window because the guy was bullying her. My high school district's superintendent hired a relative who wasn't qualified for the job, increased the salary of administrators every year, used the district's credit card to buy meals, groceries, gas, personal electronics, and gift cards. When the state audit went through they said that the overpay of administrators and the personal spending cost the school district around $1 million. Her husband was also an administrator. When she eventually got caught, she just retired and for some reason never faced federal charges. When she retired she had a $260, $518 salary. My favorite part is that the state audit discovered that the district's credit card was used to purchase logging equipment the same month the superintendent's husband filed paperwork to open a timber company. Everyone knew there was corruption in the school district, but no audits or investigations happened until someone was threatened by the superintendent's husband on Facebook. It was a couple years after I graduated, but the principal was caught giving money to gang kids and was demoted. And then a girl got caught having sex with a 40-year-old man in the school bathroom. A guy in year 10th made a statement that the more compact a group of people are, the higher the death toll would be in a shooting, and we were genuinely talking about shootings and somehow people mistook it that he was gonna do it. It was a joke and everyone was playing along at first. Cut to 11 months later, he was in year 11th. The whole school knows. Rumors got out. The truth was beyond ducking twisted and changed to something different. Kids were actually scared to come in. Parents were pissed. Teachers were anxious. They had to search the kid. They kicked him out 9 days before he finished for good. Was still allowed to do exams, but had to do separately from everyone else. The police were involved, and it made the news, but the news article is complete fake and bullshit. He also wasn't allowed to prom. This was around 4 to 5 years ago. He told me he was doing a lot better now. He went to a better school for 6th form. He says whilst he has moved on with his life, he will never forgive the bastards. Also, we live in England and guns are much harder to get, especially to the average person who knows nothing about how to get guns. A teacher was found having sex with a student on a table in the lunchroom. The student was in 8th grade and her parents knew about it. This happened between my sister and brother graduating, so it would have been 1996 or 1997. The HS Ag teacher started dating a student at some point. Everyone knew about it, and the parents consented. Our HS was, and is, small enough to still participate in senior trips, and the Ag teacher went along as a chaperone when his GF was a senior. They shared a hotel room when I believe the student was still technically a 17 years old minor. At the time I remember my parents being rather put off by it, but they still hired the guy as a summer farmhand. I don't remember if he was fired or stepped down. But by the time I made it to HS we had a different Ag teacher. They got married and had a child. Divorce maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Their kid goes to our HS now. I don't know why it wasn't a huge deal at the time, but no one really raised a stink or threatened to call the authorities. Today it feels like a case of grooming by a predatory farm boy. When I was in 3rd grade I believe, one of the principals at my school got arrested for disability fraud or something like that. Then when I was in the 7th grade, one of the teachers got arrested for being a pedophile. Seems like a common theme in this comment section, lol. One of the students wrote his own fanfic with himself and some of the younger girls. A teacher had an affair with the students. She was arrested and released on bail. Then a few days later she sent an email to other teachers saying it wasn't an affair, but that she was actually being raped by the student and blackmailed. She even attached screenshots of texts. Later that day, she murdered her husband and committed suicide. Merry Christmas everyone. One girl literally kicked on a guy's balls so hard that he had to be hospitalized. The girl was 15. The boy was 11. And there were no actions because of lack of evidence. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.